So thank you everyone for joining the call today. Thank you for introducing me, Anna. My name is Jermain Njemanze, as mentioned, Lead Solution Engineer for the EMEA region at Filigran. I joined the company last summer, and I've been working in the threat intelligence industry for coming up to 8 years now. So very happy to answer any questions that we have throughout the call, throughout today's webinar. So I'm here today to introduce to you OpenCTI, the platform, its added value, and why it's such a good idea to use this in tandem with RST Cloud. So before I dive straight into the platform, I just wanted to, after introducing myself, I just wanted to introduce the company that I work for, Filigran. The name OpenCTI has been known in the industry for years now. The first release of OpenCTI was actually in 2017, but the name Filigran sometimes is less known because it's a much more recent, well, it came into fruition much more recently. Filigran, the company was founded in 2022, September 2022, and it was founded by our CEO, Samuel Hassin, and the Chief Technology Officer, Julian Richards. And so after founding the company in 2022, it quickly grew to we're over 50 employees today. As you might have seen in the news, we've been raising quite a bit of money, making the headlines, and we are expected to continue to grow to 70 people. So we're on a very, very good, healthy trajectory. Our company is growing. Our software solutions are evolving as well, as you'll see. And the main focus of Filigran is essentially to help our customers better leverage cyber threat intelligence. In fact, the portfolio we provide, we refer to as the extended threat management suite, and OpenCTI is the core component of that suite. Alongside our threat intelligence services or software, we also enable our customers to perform breach and attack simulation and also evaluate the risk of these threats. Essentially, we want to make sure that when you're using our software solutions, you are getting the most out of threat intelligence, being able to understand the risks that you are facing when dealing with these threats, and being able to quickly operationalize the data to protect yourself and anticipate attacks that will come in the future, as well as remediate attacks that are happening right now that might be happening that you might not be aware of. So all of our solutions are open source at the core, and this is how actually we were able to become so popular so quickly. Everyone has known, as I said, OpenCTI since 2017 as an open source solution. It is still open source today. You are still free to download it and to begin using it right away. However, there are some additional features which are available for a commercial license upgrade. We also provide hosting capabilities for customers who do not wish to host the software themselves. And we also provide, the company Filigran provides technical support to its customers. So everything that I'm going to show you today and that Yuri will show you today, you are able to accomplish and use right away. And then if you need any further assistance, like technical support, then Filigran, the company, is here to help accomplish that. So moving into OpenCTI itself, the actual platform. The whole purpose of the platform is to help you manage all this information that exists regarding the threats, the tools they're using, the way they operate, their attack patterns, etc. When we talk about threat intelligence, we're really talking about big data, because there are literally hundreds of millions of indicators, Yara rules, Sigma rules, signatures, Suricata signatures as well, IP addresses, file hashes, the threat reports, the threat actor profiles, the hundreds and thousands of vulnerabilities that are being reported and that are being exploited. All this data that comes from a wide variety of sources can be very difficult and tedious to manage manually. It's best to have a platform, a tool that can automate the processing of all this data and also be able to automate the correlation of that external data with your internal alerts, like the alerts generated by your EDR or by your firewall or by your or that you're generated by your CM solution. So the idea of OpenCTI, if to tell you actually where it originally came from, Samuel, who used to work for the French cybersecurity agency. This is public information, which you can see from his LinkedIn profile. And there he was head of threat intelligence, and he found it, as I explained, very difficult to manage all these Excel spreadsheets, these PDFs, and so on and so forth manually. So he took it upon himself to develop this tool, the first iteration of the tool, OpenCTI, open source cyber threat intelligence platform. And now here we are today, many years later, successfully democratizing. Sorry, I might have mispronounced that word, but successfully spreading the good word of the benefits of threat intelligence, how to properly implement it and use it, and make sure that your security team, your SOC team, your CERT team, your CSERT team, incident response analysts, they are all able to benefit from threat intelligence and make your life as easy as possible. We want it to be as accessible as possible. Now, one of the strengths of OpenCTI, well, there are many strengths, but one of the strengths is the data segregation and confidentiality. Everything, all the features that you will see today are available and work 100% on-premise and even in air-gapped environments. So there should be no concern on your behalf regarding access to the data. Of course, when we talk about threat intelligence, we talk about internal alerts. This is highly sensitive, confidential data. This all can be stored locally, remote, in your environment without any external interference. So for those who prefer on-premise to cloud-hosted solutions, you are fine. This is certainly suited for that purpose. And another feature I'd like to mention is the fact that we have a very strong implementation of the STIX 2.1 threat model. Now, why STIX is so important is because it's a industry standard regarding sharing threat intelligence, and it ensures that everyone is using the same language regarding how to detail a threat report, how to describe the way the bad guys are operating, how to map out an attacker's infrastructure. And you'll see more of this later as Yuri demonstrates the platform's interface and how RST Cloud data specifically looks in the platform. There are also many other features which are specific to the enterprise edition of OpenCTI, the commercial license upgrade. And these features include playbook automation, so being able to automate many of the manual and tedious tasks that an analyst might undertake. They include also natural language processing and large language modeling. So if you're interested in generative AI, being able to automatically write reports for you, there's other features included in Enterprise Edition, which make us stand out from from other solutions. And we have a very, in fact, this is really the key component that really makes it stand out from the rest, is we have a very, very strong and active community behind the platform. Over 3,300 active members in our Slack community. And we will share the details of how to connect to that community at the end of the webinar. Now, I've given you kind of a high-level overview of OpenCTI, but if we look into the more concrete use cases and applications of the platform, why do analysts take interest in OpenCTI? Why do they use this? This diagram represents very well what it does. So we have the inputs on top. What kind of data comes into your OpenCTI? Of course, cyber threat data. Now you'll see I make a difference. I differentiate threat data from threat intelligence. The reason why is that threat data, the reports you receive, this is all interesting information, but it's just data. What turns data into intelligence is you reviewing it, validating it, confirming it's relevant to your internal activity and what's happening in your network, adding your secret source on top to really customize it and make it personal at least specific to your organization. And that's the difference between just data and intelligence. Another difference between data and intelligence is if you know an IP address is bad, well, I mean, that's data. But if you know an IP address is bad because it's linked to malware, which exploits a specific vulnerability, which is which is seen in this software, and malware belongs to a threat actor, which is targeting your sector or your region, that is much more detailed, more in-depth information, which we can confirm is intelligence. So you get your cyber threat data into the platform, into OpenCTI to transform it into intelligence. Another source of information, your sightings and incidents. So as I mentioned earlier, you can ingest both external information in your OpenCTI and internal information like your EDR alerts or like your firewall alerts. And the purpose of integrating this information is to correlate the external with the internal. Do some matchmaking. Are these threats that are outside my network already inside my network or not? Thirdly, vulnerabilities. Vulnerability management tools like, market-leading names, vendors that you know, their tools. You can bring the information from their software into OpenCTI, again, to correlate the threats exploiting these vulnerabilities against the information coming from your network. And then you can prioritize which vulnerabilities should I patch first based on the threats exploiting them and how likely they are to target me. And then finally, in terms of inputs, assets and operational artifacts. Again, you want to be able to track your internal data and correlate it against external data. Maybe you have suspicious attachments that you've been receiving by emails which you want to analyze. These are what we would refer to as artifacts. You can absolutely perform that analysis in OpenCTI by leveraging its connectors with third-party tools, third-party enrichment tools like sandboxes, etc. Now, all this data, once it comes into the platform, we modelize it, transform it to suit the STIX 2.1 threat model. We also have a rule engine that can automate the creation of relationships between the different entities. That's the reasoning. And then once all that analysis has been performed, you have your outputs, the cyber threat intelligence. So this is the knowledge that you have curated and optimized and you have confirmed is relevant and useful. This is something that your team will immediately benefit from. Both your human analysts, but also the tools you're using to secure your network, like your CM, your firewall, etc. You want all these tools to automatically benefit from that high quality information. This is what the detection is all about, being able to populate your block lists, your do not accept lists, for example, as well. These are kind of common use cases when we are talking about threat intelligence. I know the bad guy. Now that I know the bad guy, I want to block the bad guy. Incident response as well. When an attack happens in your network, you want to be able to remediate the situation. So stop the attack from spreading, but also carry out an investigation to understand how it happened in the first place. That's typically what a CERT team is their number one priority. Reporting and dashboards. It's good to know the bad guys. It's better to share the information with external stakeholders, also upper management who might not be involved in the field, but still want the results. Nothing like a good old dashboard to illustrate your results. And once you have all the information, obviously you want to perform a risk analysis. So again, when we talk about risk analysis, we're basically prioritizing which type of attacks we should be focused on first. And if we don't prioritize or patch or protect ourselves from these attacks, what risks are we facing? Which systems of ours are most likely to be targeted and compromised, and what's the ensuing damage that would happen if that occurred? That kind of analysis can be performed using OpenCTI tools. And finally, anticipation. So again, we're trying to optimize our security decisions and make sure that when we test our defenses, we're testing it based on relevant information, relevant and useful information. Now, this diagram illustrates how OpenCTI operates. I did mention before that it works, we can host this for you in our own data centers, or you can host the information locally on premise and nothing will leave your region, nothing will leave your network, in fact. So in this scenario, I have an OpenCTI which is pulling threat intelligence from our partner RST Cloud. Now, RST Cloud, the data will come, so what you see here in the bottom left, the Python connectors, you can have as many connectors as you want connected to your OpenCTI. In this architecture, I just have space to show one, but you can actually have as many as you want, and they can pull from as many sources as you want, RST Cloud being one of them. And once the information comes into the platform, it's then registering, the Python connector is registering to OpenCTI API and saving that data, transforming that into a STIX 2.1 bundle. As I mentioned before, OpenCTI is entirely based on the STIX 2.1 threat model. So it converts everything into the STIX 2.1 threat model. It converts it to incidents, actors, vulnerabilities, malware, all the entities and the relationships that exist in the STIX 2.1 standard. RabbitMQ in the backend as the messaging system. We have the Elasticsearch or OpenSearch as your database, Redis as the event streaming database, and we also have the S3 bucket for storage of your pictures, PDFs, zip files, etc., all the artifacts that you'll be storing in your platform. So it's very straightforward, very open. Everything that I'm showing you is available in our documentation, and I'll share we will share the links after at the end of the webinar. But as I said, the whole platform is open source, free for you to use, to test, to review the code, to review the architecture, and it's very flexible as well. You have there's no black box in the system. It's fully visible. No, there's nothing hidden. Everything is very transparent. And so again, when we talk about the confidential data and where it's stored, it can all be stored locally. That's not a problem at all. And we provide technical support for on-premise customers as well as for cloud customers. So there's no issue there regarding where your data is being saved. So it's entirely your choice. Now, some simple steps to install OpenCTI. It's pretty straightforward. Now, actually installing it would take a bit longer than this webinar allows. So I'm summarizing this at a high level, but it's four simple steps. The first one is to get Docker. So it is possible for you to manually install all the components, which I showed you in the previous architecture slide, but the majority of our users, of our customer base, they choose Docker because it just makes life so much easier. Everything, all the dependencies are automatically downloaded, connected to each other. Docker is a very straightforward system. It saves a great deal of time and headaches. Now, if for any reasons you are not able to use Docker and you need to install in a different manner, we do offer technical support to our commercial customers. But for 99% of the scenarios, Docker is sufficient. It's simple enough, and it's good to get comfortable with. Second step, once you have Docker down, you clone the OpenCTI repository, right? So Docker is the tool in which you're going to deploy OpenCTI. Once you've deployed the framework, so to speak, you then get the necessary files, and that screenshot you see the make directory, the path where you're going to the make directory, and then you clone the code from the GitHub repository. Again, this is all public information detailed in the documentation. Once you have downloaded the OpenCTI repository, there is some configuration required. Mostly, it's just a matter of entering unique UUIDs, okay, to make sure that the different tools authenticate to the right connectors and authenticate properly to each other. This is, again, straightforward. And then finally, running OpenCTI. So really, there's only 3 steps. Get Docker, get the OpenCTI repository, and then configure the YAML files, the configuration files, to make sure that the admin passwords, for example, are correctly configured, the user accounts are correctly configured, and then you just have to click and run. Again, we can host this for you, so we can save you all that headache. But if you want to try it yourself first locally, maybe do an offline proof of concept, for example, very straightforward. Everything is available online. Now, in terms of the support, as I mentioned, we do have an online documentation available, and the link is right there, docs.opencti.io. So we update this on a regular basis, and OpenCTI itself is updated very, very frequently. You might have seen on LinkedIn, I did a post last week about how we released 5 updates in 7 days. I mean, we have a very active, very dynamic team of engineers. I'm very proud and happy to work with them. And the documentation is also updated very frequently to reflect all the changes and updates that we are bringing to the platform. Now, we also have a community Slack channel. So, documentation is good, but it's also even better when you have active, friendly members, of the community who can answer questions on the fly and maybe get you over whatever roadblocks or challenges you might encounter deploying OpenCTI in your environment. As I mentioned earlier on, over 3,300 active members in our community channel. And also, for our commercial customers, we even offer private channels where you can speak directly to our engineers and our customer success management team and get your problem solved much quicker than if you're waiting for volunteers from the channel to help you. And then finally, for the commercial customers, we do have a customer support portal available. Now, if you're not a commercial customer and you try to connect, you won't work because you won't have the password to authenticate. But those who do choose to subscribe to technical support, they have additional means to contact us, have an SLA, and make sure everything is sorted quickly. And then finally, if you need even more help beyond the documentation and a Slack channel, we do offer training courses, both for users and for admins, to learn both how to use the software and also how to deploy the software. As I mentioned before, we do have an enterprise edition offering. So there are some additional features which can help our users save even more time and get even more added value, such as the natural language processing and the large language model, the AI features which we've just released. And then we do have dedicated customer success managers who themselves are very experienced both in resolving customer problems and also in using OpenCTI themselves. We're very proud to have a customer success management team who was actually, all of the members were themselves users of OpenCTI in a past life before joining the company. So they're always ready, available for our customers to make sure everyone is as successful as possible using our software. So I'll now stop sharing my screen. Yuri, I'll hand over to you.
Cool. Thank you very much. Good day. Yeah, I'll start also with an introduction. So we are an Australian company that specializes in threat intelligence. What we do is that we produce actionable threat intelligence, which is tailored to the needs of SOC teams. Essentially, it's a threat data which can be used for threat detection in real time at scale, for threat prevention in real time at scale, supporting threat hunters, helping analysts don't feel that daily fatigue by giving them tools to deal with false positives. So have an automated product which allows you to control the noise. And we also have products for CTI analysts to help them to alleviate that pain, reading reports every day, hundreds of those, to produce some other reports, right? Today we're going to show a couple of products which are kind of like a starter pack. So if you're going to embark on a journey, on a CTI journey, and you're still one or two people in the whole organization, for example, or for example, you are about to migrate off some other system or build a new one. So it could be a good start for you. I'll try to show you what's about configuration, what about usual steps you perform to tune the system, and also I'll give you some insights how to use it. So two products will be covered today. I'll probably briskly show noise control as well. Usually, it's good to start with the PII and identifying what are your really intelligence requirements. But it's sometimes hard to, because people don't know where to start. And it's good to know what's the threat landscape as a whole and see the bigger picture. And that's where a Report Hub can help you to do it really quick. So what it does, it's an engine on our side, which runs in the cloud, and it collects all possible threat intelligence reports all over the world, tapping into information from different countries, from different cyber communities, cybersecurity companies, individual researchers who publish information in many languages, either in Chinese, Spanish, Russian, someone speaking Farsi or any other languages, Arabic as well. So all of this is being translated automatically and then parsed by the system in order to extract all the meaningful data from these reports. So reading reports every day, it's like 140 reports a day. And then you need to identify which one's actually, relevant to you. And sometimes it's just one or two, and the rest of those will be not relevant. So this system does the pre-screening for you, and then instead of reading all the reports, you can create a query in OpenCTI and see what's really applicable to you. The threat feed is a comprehensive feed which we collect from many sources. So do normalize all the data, filter it, enrich with information we've collected historically on our side, enriched with the data from our honeypot networks and so on. And then integrated with different CTI platforms. Today I'll show you how to do it with OpenCTI. So just to cover a bit, a few details about the product. So thread feed includes not just indicators, but also context around. So information we collect comes with relations to threat actors, malware, CVE. If it's possible to find anything related to an indicator, we include it in the feed. And then it comes with a score associated with it based on the context found. So one of the contributed factors is how much we trust the source. Could be multiple sources contributing, could be one, unknown person posted somewhere on Telegram, or it could be a senior Microsoft researcher sharing some insights on Twitter. There will be different level of trust to these people. So this one of the contributing factors to the score. Another one is about the richness of context. The more information we have about an indicator, the bigger the score is set. This score is aligned with the score in OpenCTI. It's also from 1 to 0. And the scoring system also supports aging. So when we find something new, the score will be raised, and the corresponding score in OpenCTI will be updated. So which means that you can leverage the scoring systems together, and there's no need to think how to match them or how to operate them separately and so on. So it's really nicely integrated. We also integrate with many sandboxes. We partner with AnyRun. We get information from VMRay, from hybrid analysis, all this online sandboxes where people detonate samples, and our engine parses all the reports, extracting all relevant information, and this information directly goes to your OpenCTI instance, so you can then assess whether it's applicable to you. Coverage Report Hub, I think what I haven't covered is that we also generate a few things like summaries, generate a main ID of report, extract information about geo and industry as well, and relations to it. So whether certain country is targeted or not, whether certain industry is targeted or not. And it's all come in a 6.2.1 format, so it's easily configured and easy to integrate with any threat intelligence solution. Also, because of some of the reports which have been published on online platforms disappear, they may just remove a company may change WordPress to something else and start using another CMS, and then suddenly some of the blog posts disappear. So it's always good to have an archived copy of these reports. So we'll also provide a PDF copy. So now very soon I'll show you the interface of OpenCTI. Here you see version 5. A week ago there was a new version released, version 6. It's even more fancier, and today we were brave enough to kind of install it 2 days ago just for this webinar. So we'll be showcasing you version 6 and a couple of new features related to this new version. It's really great. There were a couple of changes made to the way how it works, and it's worth noting these breaking changes, I believe, because for people who got used, who had worked with OpenCTI, these changes which were introduced will become a bit new information, right? So before we do that, briefly show you what are the steps to deploy the connectors. So you go to the GitHub repository hosted by, managed by OpenCTI team. There's a list of connectors there. You identify the connector you need, and you can then read the README file and get the Docker Compose YAML file from there. This will be, so we're looking like that. So although it's a lot of kind of lines, in fact, it's not much to configure. So you copy the whole thing. All you need to do is ensure that you use variables to, to specify the right version of OpenCTI. You don't put your credentials or tokens right into the config, use environment instead, and then, specify the API key. That's essentially what you need to do. credentials, API key, and then run Docker Compose. Or if you use Patrainer or you use Kubernetes, then there will be some other procedures, but it really depends on how you use what containerization you use. What I see is that some companies, they already have Elasticsearch, for example, and then in that case, it makes sense just to configure OpenCTI to use this existing data store rather than setting it up as a part of the Docker environment. So the many architecture kind of things could be considered depending on the volume of information you're going to have. And that's it. So after you put the credentials, your API key, the connector is running. For the feed integration, there are a couple more levers available. So the first thing, you can specify what's the minimum score to import. So the data we have is clustered into 3 main groups. So whatever is more than 55 or so, usually is okay to do to deploy to your firewalls, to your web application firewalls, or NGFV to block for active prevention. Whatever from 40-ish and more can be used in SIEM for real-time threat detection. And data below that, it's gonna warning information. So, or it's something which just appeared but hasn't been cross-verified or checked, and could be something which will become really high confidence in a couple of days, right? So it could be used for threat hunting, could be used for investigations where you when you do searches manually. And 20 and 10, usually it's either really old indicators, so all the anti-malware engines will already know about this stuff. So is it really worth it to, export it into your SIEM or SOAR tools? So this is one of the parameters you can specify and control. It's how much data will come into you. So if you're just starting the journey, probably don't import a lot. You want to first understand what you really need. And the other parameter is only new, true or false. That gives you, if your system you're running is small, you have limited compute resources, probably go for only new indicators. You will not see the full picture, but over time you can, once you have bigger demand, you can turn it to false, and then you get all the data. And the last one is only attributed on yes or no. So some indicators, they may pop up on a social networks like Telegram, somebody sharing something, or WeChat, and then there's not much context yet available, but people who share that trust it enough, so we understand that this information kind of worth to be ranked quite high, and the engine will assess it and decide what number to specify. But if you're not reacting swiftly, right, you may be missing it, and then it may be too late. So idea is that some indicators may be not yet attributed, but may worth to be imported. So this is the other control we have to do that. It's all tuning. In fact, if you enter the API key, that's done. After the connector is running, you get some reports. Reports contain different types of objects. Obviously, we'll extract malware, tools, campaigns, what type of the tools we used, how this interconnected with the threat actors, whether threat actors targeting certain industries or countries, or related to these industries or countries, what CVEs and TTPs are found in the report. This is all automatically available in the system, and it's coming as a feed. So you don't need to look for new things and spend your time processing these reports. This is like a commodity feed. You get all the reports already pre-processed, and then you can configure notifications within the OpenCTI to let's say you have certain software in your company. You know that there's certain you're part of a certain industry, you work in a certain geographies, so you can configure alerts based on this criteria, and then you'll be notified if something pops up related to this. All the indicators, as I said before, these they come with a certain context, but it's not only attribution to malware or malware family or to a threat actor. It's also a categorization. So we have different categories. Could be, you know, Tor node, could be VPN used to anonymize access, or it could be malware, C2, phishing, this type of more dangerous kind of categories, or just probe, as you know, shell probes and so on. Where it helps. So, for example, you have a lot of noise. You deliver this CTI data to your security team who deals with network security, for example, and they have a lot of alerts on their WAF. And if you look at these thousands alerts, there are actually only a few that are worth to be investigated. Most of them are automated attack performed by robots, right? But how can I know which attacks work to be investigated? So you can match against the feed and see if it's a an own robot, and by using the categories you can do that. You then can just configure your WAF to either block it or redirect to a capture website or do some additional actions, and then without need to raise an alert in the SIEM, and then it will not go to your ticketing system, and your SOC will be happier. Yeah, so that's it about presentations. I'll probably go into the actual demo. So this demo was set up, I think, a couple of days ago. I have a custom dashboard. So that was imported on Sunday, and there's not much information in there still. But idea is that once you install the system, it's easy to bring data into it. As I said before, you just install a connector, but before doing that, I would recommend to verify that you configured security groups correctly and associated security groups with the confidence levels correctly. So what happens is that now with the version 6, you have a certain parameter which is called a max confidentiality, max confidence level, and it used to be a setting at a connector level. What it impacts is that when the data comes from different sources, so you may have your own data feed, you use one threat intelligence provider, another one, and the certain confidence needs to be assigned. So then the data is being merged. It will not override the work you've done. So if your analyst, sitting writing certain things, adding additional information, then suddenly some of the feeds overrides everything, and you have nothing left. It's kind of a bit frustrating. So ensuring that this configured at the very beginning is very important. So then, later you have no problems. So here's a suggestion how you can do that. It's, very simplified version of that. So let's say you have administrators, people who will be managing the platform themselves. They'll be not maybe CTI analysts, more like a security engineer. So regardless whether you give them 100% or not, they probably will have access to to modify anything. But for simplicity, it's set to 100%. You can also specify what markings available, but if you're an administrator, you can override everything. And then let's say you have CTI analysts, and they'll be the ones who own the system as a business owner, so all the content there is managed by them, so they can probably go up to the highest confidence level. And then you have, let's say, SOC analysts who also contribute, and from their daily work, they put something new, they found something in the client environment, and or if it's an internal SOC in your own environment, then add additional data into it. So, but to ensure that there's a custodian and data is maintained properly, better to have a confidence level, max confidence level, a bit lower than CTI analysts. That way, you can ensure that they're not overriding things which must be in the system. When you configure different connectors, you also need to specify max confidence. That will be the confidence which will be set by connector at ingestion time. And let's say you have base connectors, as I call it here. This is usually information about countries, sectors, CVEs, MITRE, TTPs, and so on. So things which are industry standards and unlikely not to be unlikely to be changed, or you want this to be a priority compared to all other data imported from everyone else. So treat this confidence, I think, is more like leverage how you merge data. And then in that particular case, 70-60 could be other number, right? It's a custom kind of decision or what to choose here. So when information is pulled from, for example, RST connectors, this will be merged with the data which pre-exists in the system and comes from OpenCTI dataset, which defines a country, for example, right? The RST connector will not override the country definition, which comes from OpenCTI itself. Or it could be a different scenario where actually you want it to be modified, right? Then you for your custom connector, you specify a higher score. So that's on security system, which is, I think, is a new feature in version 6 and worth to be mentioned. Let's go to ingestion and see what type of connectors available here. So for a freshly new new system, I suggest to install sysno exploit vulnerabilities. It immediately brings you, in a certain list of vulnerabilities being exploited right now. So you then match, different data against that. It's really easy, one-click install, and very useful in daily work. MITRE datasets, of course. Without MITRE attack, it's hard to manage the TTP database. MALPD could be worth to be brought in. It has limited number of threat actors in there, a limited number of malware, but it's some description of these threat actors which can be useful if you don't have any custom provider or any premier provider. And obviously OpenCTI datasets. So OpenCTI datasets is useful because it gives you all the region definitions, all the country definitions, information about sectors, and this is very useful when you match your data. So cool. That's about ingestion of standard content, and then we have three connectors here: the thread feed, report hub. This is configured to fetch data on a periodical basis. You specify the schedule. Thread feed, it's a daily feed. The report hub can be every 10 minutes, for example. Depends when the system finds a report to be shared, and then it's being pulled. A noise control is an example of enrichment processor when you connector, when you can specify a certain element, selecting a certain element, it's either an indicator or an observable, and then you can resolve it, enrich it with a connector. So how reports look like? So if you go to the report section, different reports come from different sources. It could be security organization, this one from Israel, this one from Korea, as an ESET. It could be individual people just sharing information, what they found. They found some sample somewhere on a virus tutorial or some other platform, did the analysis, and this analysis, they want this analysis to become available to everyone. So they just share it, and the engine picks it. It gets translates it if it's needed. So there's many Chinese people sharing on WeChat what they found, for example, and the short summary is being generated. Key idea, what software is mentioned, what software languages are used, and all the relevant entities are extracted with the relationships between them, so you can then see that there's a threat actor Kimsuki targeting South Korea using PowerShell loader, and these are the indicators extracted, and this is TTP, and this probably media and government is being targeted. So from OpenCTI, you can easily go and see the actual link and read the actual post, and this post is also screenshotted and saved in the content, so you can refer back to it. If it disappears online, you can always have a PDF copy. For some of the reports, some reports are really simple. Some reports will be huge, and number of elements, is high. So what can happen is that not everything published by a security company or a threat researcher can be actually an indicator. Sometimes they include things like targeted or compromised hosts, which are usually not an indicator. So the system will recognize if it's worth to be if it's worth to create an indicator or worth to be an observable. And one of the cases is that there was a very great report on data exfiltration using different log bins, so like different tools which are considered normal, and then threat actor use this to stay stealth, right, to ensure that they're not detected. And there was a big list of hashes attached, and some of these hashes ended up being cmd.exe, PowerShell.exe, run-dll, and so on. So it's really difficult to personalize if you just extract everything from the report and then it ends up in your system, and then you disseminate it to your I hope you don't send it directly to EDI if you don't do additional analysis, because you then start blocking cmd.exe and PowerShell.exe, right? So this particular one, what's that? Yeah, the system finds if it's whether it's what is an indicator and what is an observable, and you can also check why this was considered benign, right? So the system can give you some information about what it is. So this one is a launcher for one of the software I used. I think it's a Phobos, Pandora. Yes, a Pandora one. You can also select an observable and do your enrichment on the fly. So you can select multiple observables or one. And there's a button to do enrichment, and then you get the response, what it is, whether it's a actual indicator or it's to be updated as a benign value. And that's VNSCP portable. So still, it's a tool, which usually used by admins. It could be indicating some suspicious activity, but blocking it could be impacting some operations. If it's used in scripting in your organization to remotely copy files on Linux machines, this could be quite dangerous, right? Enabling automatic prevention for this type of data. So that's how you can quickly check if an indicator or an observable is benign or not. Let's probably have a look at some other reports. So some reports, as I said before, could be really simple, as just someone posts information about certain malware, what it does. So this one is very simple. Spear phishing link was delivered, and then it uses standard web protocols to communicate. Obfuscated files created on the file system. It uses PowerShell, injects into the process, and creates some registry keys for persistence, probably. So all of that is extracted from the report, and it could be not, it's not just somebody just put the T1112 in the report. It's extracted from the context. So if an author talks about C2 or talks about covert communication or to talk to C2, then the system will find a corresponding TTP and create an object for that and attach it to the system. That's how you work with reports. Here you can search for anything which could be an interest for you. I don't know, there's a lot of news about Ivanti recently, right? So you can just search for any word, and the idea is that the system allows you to leverage the Elasticsearch capabilities underlying. So if you search for just CVE, right, it'll give you all reports where CVE is mentioned. If you start looking for CVE with the current year, for example, this will not work because it will also find 2023. So you want to use this quotes to ensure to search for exact value. Cool. So that's the reports part, and the other part is about using indicators. So usually this available here entities. So let's say you want to check what indicators are currently with a high score and with the IP addresses with a high score, and you're preparing an external integration, for example, with your firewall, and you want to be sure that only indicators which are scored high go in there. So this is the way how you can do that, and then this search criteria, you can reuse them in the data sharing section when you create your taxi integration, for example. And indicator comes with some information if it's linked to something, right? So you can not just see a bare indicator, but you can see the score related to it. You have some label, but you also see related malware. You can drill down and see what that malware does. What other reports available about that malware, so you can see, you can read more how it works. You can also quickly check what's available in terms of who is using that malware, right? So what are the threat actors using it? What countries or sectors targeted? And go for, yeah, maybe I have it here. Yeah, and also go for attack patterns and see the MITRE attack map. So that way, if you identified what are the threat actors related to you, what are the threats related to you, so you may be it's maybe important for you to ensure that confidentiality of your data is preserved, and you may have some know-how you don't want to share with others. So in that case, confidentiality will be mostly important. So you'll be ensuring that the threats related to stealing information, related to getting into your network and then exfiltrating data, this kind of threats will be your priority. But if you think that your processes are more, if your processes are stopped, then you lose money, right? Availability is important. Then you start focusing on threats related to that, and the system allows you to do that. It allows you to identify those key areas, and then knowing these key areas, you can find the MITRE techniques related to it, and based on that, then see what controls you have in your organization to ensure that these threats are covered, right? You can check whether you have systems to deal with application layer protocol, whether you have enough detection rules in your SIEM to monitor common scripting execution, and so that this kind of things. Basically, that's it. There's also a knowledge base. I mean, there's so many features. I will not be able to cover all of this. It will take maybe a couple of days. But for when you're just starting, and I think it's enough. So idea is that you can understand what's your threat landscape. Focus on the threat actors and types of malware which will be the most important for your organization. Then prepare some queries and searches you'll be checking, and you can configure notifications. There's a system which allows you to configure triggers and notifications. You can also, in the enterprise version, also create playbooks, so to automate some of these scenarios, and then you'll get actionable results from your system. So, and you never know what you will need tomorrow. So if you don't import, in the beginning I was saying then that you have different options what you're importing from the feed, right? if you have resources, import more. Then today, one threat actor is focusing on the one industry. Tomorrow, they see that they can earn money if they're financially motivated, right? They can earn money not only in by getting exfiltrating data from banks, for example, but also by getting from some other companies. We see now manufacturing and health industries being targeted a lot. So it really depends what's the motivation of the threat actor, and they can change that. So always ensure that you understand what's your threat landscape, and OpenCTI is a great tool to do that. I think we're about to finish, and hand over back to Anna. One example is how you can integrate with firewalls. For example, some of the firewalls, they will support STIX integration, and they will support the CSV integration. They can fetch downloadable lists into the system. So in OpenCTI, you can easily create these integrations, and the idea is that you can create that filter you use in search, and then once you're fine with the results, you use the same search in here, and you create a taxi collection, and then taxi collection can be managed either being public or private. When you have it private, then you can create a group in security settings, and then you can configure what users can access this particular collection, and this way you can ensure that certain parts of the organization will be able to pull it, certain parts will not be able, or you want to share with some other organization. So that's some of the examples. But RST Cloud itself is we also focus on ensuring that there's interoperability, and we have native connectors. For example, we have cloud-to-cloud integration within RST Cloud and Microsoft Sentinel, and we also help to disseminate that information. But having OpenCTI as the main source of truth is important, because you may have multiple providers. You may have your own local created threat intel, which will be coming from your threat intelligence platform. So it's better to integrate from one place rather than getting from multiple ones.
Yep, thank you. That was a comprehensive answer. So, dear audience, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to answer it directly or in this chat box afterwards. And for any inquiries beyond this webinar, I will share the screen with contacts that we can use for further communication. Yep. So please don't hesitate to connect with us, to contact us. Our team at RST Cloud and our colleagues at Filigrane will be more than happy to assist you. Remember to utilize our community channels mentioned on the slide for more technical insights and discussions. We're here to support you every step on the way. So thanks a lot for our experts, and thank you for our audience. That's all for now. Have a great day, and bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Have a great CTI journey. May CTI be with you.
May CTI be with you. Supercharging. Take care, buddy. Bye.